Have you ever really thought about what happens in those few seconds after you tap your card to pay for something? Well, today, we're going to follow the money. We're going to uncover the secret life of a single, simple transaction, tracing its journey from your wallet all the way into the digital brain of a company.
So, picture this. You just bought a coffee. The money's out of your account, you've got your latte, everything seems done. But behind the scenes, where did your $5 really go? What path did that little piece of data, that digital echo of your purchase, actually travel?
Because that simple tap, it did way more than just move money around. It sent a signal, a tiny piece of information, that started racing through this vast, invisible network. Your one purchase became a data point, and it kicked off a chain reaction deep inside what you could call the company's digital nervous system.
And it all starts right here. That one tap of your card, that's the first domino to fall in a much, much larger and perfectly organized sequence of events. So let's really break down that first moment. You know, this journey isn't random at all. It follows a very precise, pre-planned path. So let's get into it. Let's trace exactly where that coffee money goes, step by step.
The path is actually defined by something accountants call business cycles. The best way to think about these are like the major highways that all financial information has to travel on inside of a company.
And here they are, the 5 core highways that basically make any business run. You've got sales and receivables, cash collection, purchases and payables, cash payments, and payroll. Now, your coffee purchase, it immediately triggers the first 2. A sale is made, and the cash collection happens on the spot. The other cycles, they kick in later for things like, when the company needs to buy more coffee beans or pay its baristas.
Okay, so if these cycles are the highways, what's the engine that's actually driving all the traffic? I mean, how does a company process literally millions of these little transactions so smoothly every single day?
Well, the answer is something called the Accounting Information System, or AIS for short. This is the incredibly powerful, totally invisible engine running at the very heart of the business, and its job is to process every single financial event that happens.
You can think of the AIS as the company's financial command center. It's a super specialized system, and it's designed to do one thing really well: capture, process, and report on transactions, just like the one you made at the coffee shop.
Now, this system isn't just one big blob. It's actually made up of 3 main components that are all interconnected, and each one has a very specific and very crucial job to do. Let's take a look at the first one.
So first up is the Transaction Processing System, the TPS. This is the absolute front line. It's the digital cash register that took your payment. Its entire purpose is to handle the massive volume of day-to-day transactions, like your coffee, as quickly and reliably as possible.
Okay, next, the TPS feeds all that transaction data into the general ledger and financial reporting system. Its job is to take thousands of individual purchases and bundle them all up into official reports, like an income statement. This is how the company talks about its financial health to the outside world, to investors, to banks, to regulators.
And the third piece of this puzzle is the Management Reporting System. Now, this one is for internal eyes only. It grabs all that same data and cooks up reports for the managers inside the company. This is what helps them answer critical questions like, hey, how many lattes did we sell this morning? Or do we need to order more oat milk for next week?
So we have the AIS, which is the engine processing all of this information. But where does it all go? Where does this data actually live? Well, the answer is in the company's digital brain, the database.
A database, when you get right down to it, is a pretty simple idea. It's just an organized collection of data. But that organization is what makes it so unbelievably powerful. It's not like a messy shoebox full of receipts. It's more like a perfectly structured digital library.
So let's look at the building blocks. The absolute smallest piece of data you can have is called a field. For your coffee purchase, the price, let's say $5, that's a field. The date is a field. The item, latte, is another field. Think of them like the individual atoms of information. Now, when you group all those related fields, those little atoms, together, you create a record. So the date, the item, and the price of your coffee all combine to form one complete story of that transaction. And that whole story, that's a single record. And this is a perfect way to see how it all comes together. See, each column here is a field: date, item, price. And each row, which represents one single complete purchase, is a record. All of the sales records from today are then stored together in what we call a table.
It's simple, it's clean, and it's incredibly efficient.
Okay, so we've seen the individual transaction and the database that stores it, but now let's zoom all the way out and see how this one little piece of data actually connects to the entire business strategy.
You know, in the past, companies used what were called stovepipe systems, where every department's data was basically trapped in its own little silo. Marketing couldn't easily see what sales was doing, and finance had no idea about inventory levels. But today, modern companies use integrated systems, you'll hear them called ERPs, where data is shared across the entire company instantly.
This integration all happens inside a much larger framework, the Management Information System, or MIS. And remember that AIS we were just talking about? It's actually a specialized part of the MIS. The MIS is like the central hub that pulls the financial data from the AIS and then combines it with info from marketing, from logistics, from HR, to create one single complete picture of the whole business.
And this is where the real magic happens. Because by combining all this data, managers can now answer much, much bigger questions. The data from your single coffee purchase, when it's multiplied by thousands of others, informs literally everything from sales forecasts and inventory orders to staffing schedules and even new marketing campaigns.
So here's the bottom line. Your $5 coffee was never just $5. It was a vote. It was a signal. It was a tiny, perfect piece of business intelligence that traveled through this enormous system just to help the company make smarter decisions down the line.
And that leaves us with a final, big question to chew on. In a world where every single purchase, no matter how small, provides instant feedback and helps shape high-level strategy, what does that really mean for the future of how businesses operate, how they compete, and how they innovate? The journey of your coffee money might just hold the answer.